Hey Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this video, I want to show beyond a shadow of a doubt that who is responsible for the attacks of September 11th are none other than the Zionist Jews, the same gang that has funded the United States of America and all of its war efforts from the beginning. And again, make no mistake about it, September 11th was a symbolic event for a future war agenda. On the date of September 11th, the biggest clue that a major hoax had been waged against us was given by the BBC News Network in their reporting of the collapse of Building 7, the third building to fall on September 11th. As someone who has spoken out about the lies of 9/11 and tried to bring awareness and truth to the subject since the day it happened, I have routinely used Building 7 as an example, and almost every single person from 2001 up to 2015 who I've brought up Building 7 to has had the same response. Oh, I never even knew about that building before. I'd never even heard about that. On the day of the attacks, the collapse of Building 7 was reported, and there was a major mistake made by mainstream networks, especially the BBC. Here, what we're looking at is BBC news anchor on TV explaining the collapse of the Solomon Brothers building, Building 7 of 47 floors. She's explaining this collapse before it has actually happened. The building is still standing and will remain standing for another half hour before it falls. To the skeptic, they might go, well, maybe they reported it early because there was signs it was going to fall. No, that is not true. You can look up the collapse of the building. There was no signs it was going to fall. It was not damaged, yet it fell like a demolition, just like buildings 1 and 2 fell earlier in the day, which also fell from explosives, not the lie of planes. Get this, Truth Seeker. The coding is within the building that identifies who is responsible. The first sign is that Building 7 was 47 floors tall. Remember, it was 747s that flew into Buildings 1 and 2. The name of Building 7 was the Solomon Brothers Building, named after the brothers who financed the American Revolutionary War. It was Jews who financed the American Revolutionary War, just like it's been Jews that have financed every single war we have been in, even the Civil War. They were the financiers of the North. Anyhow, Solomon Brothers Building has gematria of 110. With the S exception on the capital S, it's 119, a lot like the date September 11th, 11th day, 9th month. This number 110, though, is coded all over the events of that day. Buildings 1 and 2 were 110 stories tall. The World Trade Center complex was proposed and financed in the year 1961 by David Rockefeller, who made the proposal, and by his brother, the 49th governor of New York, Nelson Rockefeller, who approved it. Notice the name gematria of Rockefeller is 110, like the height of buildings 1 and 2. And the Rockefellers are Jews, Zionist Jews. The name Osama bin Laden, who is blamed for the 9/11 attacks, has name gematria of 110, and his name the small way with Pythagorean gematria sums to 47, like the height of Building 7. Buildings 1 and 2, 110 stories tall. Building 7, 47 floors tall. Making matters even more interesting, 911 has simple English gematria of 110. And get this, Truth Seeker, in the year 1968, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, World Trade Center construction began, Space Odyssey 2001 came out, the Stanley Kubrick film, A Very Masonic Man, and Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated that year, which we'll get to. The original, or Building 7, 47 floors tall, also 330 feet long. From 1968 to 2001 was a span of 33 years. 33 and 47 are highly Masonic numbers. It is Masonic Zionist Jews who are behind most of the evil doing in this world. Each floor in Building 7, the 47 floor tall structure, was 47,000 square feet. Are you seeing the obsession with this number 47? The original financier of the Revolutionary War, the brother that the building is named after, Haym Solomon, was born in history on the date of April 7th, 1740, a lot like 4-7. Notice that he died at the age of 44, the kill number in Philadelphia, the original nation's capital. It should be noted that the World Trade Center buildings first opened April 4th, 1973, 5 years to the day of the assassination of Martin Luther King. Making it even more incriminating, Star of David, the Zionist Jew symbol, has gematria of 47. 47. And the big way, 119, a lot like 9/11. In Jewish gematria, the word mafia sums to 47. Think about every mafia movie you've seen, every mafia TV show you've seen, from Sopranos to Godfather. The real boss who sits above the Italian mobsters in these movies and these TV shows is always a Jew, a major clue. And don't forget, these movies are made by Jews, so they're even putting out the truth about themselves in front of mainstream eyes, knowing that everybody is going to miss it. Why? Because the Jews are who we've all been raised to sympathize with more than anybody else because of the events and lies of World War II. To show you some more Jew arrogance, truth seeker, the 93 World Trade Center bombing happened on February 26, 1993, 3,119 days before 9/11. Again, the World Trade Center project was proposed March 11th, 1961 by David Rockefeller to his brother Nelson Rockefeller, the 49th governor of New York. Notice that the date 3/11 is in here. Also, the date of September 11th can be written 11/9, day before month. Notice that that date's in here as well. This is the span from the 93 World Trade Center bombing to the 2011 attacks. On the date of the 93 World Trade Center bombing, the movie Falling Down came out, with Michael Douglas shown in front of a skyscraper skyline. Of course, it's Los Angeles and not New York, but it's a major clue. The release date of this movie has 121 numerology, just like the date of the World Trade Center buildings. I've done a video on how all the numbers in New York are based on Revelation, which are based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. This is all Zionist Jew coding. The numbers of Revelation. With regards to Falling Down being in LA, L's the 12th letter and A's the first. More numbers of Revelation. And think about how New York and Los Angeles are the biggest cities in this nation. I just said Revelation's based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. 39's reflection is 93. Think about 93 World Trade Center bombing. Think about Flight 93 of 33 passengers. The first plane, Flight 11, to hit the World Trade Centers, the massive 11s in the New York City skyline, the 11th state. The first plane to hit floors 93 through 99. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because 39 and 93 are two of the most important numbers to the Zionist Jews. Israel's Congress, Knesset, the Zionist Jew state, the Congress has gematria of 39 and 93. Right now I am making the case that it is Zionist Jews who are responsible for all this madness, all of these lies, all of this wrongdoing, all of this injustice. So many people who are listening to this are probably turning it off because they've been trained by the Jews to dismiss anything like this as anti-Semitic. We've been trained by the evildoers. It needs to stop. So get this, truth seeker. The word Masonic has gematria of 74, and in Jewish gematria 223, like the number 322 backwards. It was the BBC News that gave us this mistaken reporting of the building collapsing a half hour before it collapsed. Or perhaps it wasn't a mistake. Perhaps it was another arrogant clue. Anyhow, BBC, notice that B is the second letter and C is the third. BBC is 223, just like Masonic. And with regards to the number 74, the World Trade Center coordinates are on the 74th meridian. All this coding, truth seeker, signs of who's really responsible. Also, I was just talking about 93 a lot. What stands in the place of where these buildings once stood is One World Trade Center. And would you believe the gematria of One World Trade Center, truth seeker? One World Trade Center, the cornerstone was laid July 4th, 7-4, which can be written 4-7 or 7-4. The same numbers. They called the building One World Trade Center, which has gematria of 93. 93. It's also known as Freedom Tower, which has gematria of 66. Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. If you sum 1 through 11, it totals 66. Revelation's based again on the 39 books of the Old Testament, which the Jews go by. This is what these people do. They code their numbers over and over, and they are incredibly arrogant. Apparently, they thought nobody would ever figure out their code. And as far as I know, and tell me, nobody in the history of this world figured out their code. The reason that might be is because you might be listening to the voice of the most determined people in the world to bring justice to this event and hold the wrongdoers responsible. That has been my oath and my pledge to myself since the day it happened. I was a freshman in college, 2 weeks in. That day changed my life. I said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this day. I'm going to hold these people responsible myself if nobody else does. So that's what path I'm on. If you think I'm an anti-Semite, you would be surprised to know that I am also of Jewish blood. The reason that's so is because my father doesn't know who his father is, but he was told at the age of 30 that his father was a Jew. And for any of you who've seen my face, you know I'm not lying. So, all right, truth seeker. Until next time. Encore, truth seeker. Remember that all wars are bankers' wars. World War I, the United States became involved with after Sir Lord Rothschild, a Zionist Jew, wrote a letter to the United States saying that if they participated in the war effort, that they would help secure the Zionist state of Israel. After this proposal, the United States joined the war to fight against Germany. Of course, Israel was not realized at the end of World War I, but it was at the end of World War II, which was part 2 of World War I. The reason we're not taught about World War I is because if you learn about World War I, you quickly see through all the lies of World War II. Anyhow, at the end of World War II, Israel got their Zionist state on the date of November 29th, 1947, a date with 106 numerology. If you have Netflix, you can watch this documentary, Four Blood Moons. The movie has a Jewish narrator who throughout the movie talks about how Jews are God's chosen people, talks about how God protects Jews and not other people. He delivers this quote, though, about this date. He goes, prophecy was fulfilled on November 29th, 1947. Look at the gematria of the word prophecy, 106, just like the numerology of that date. Also, that date has connections to the number 61, which is God in Jewish gematria. The year World Trade Center was proposed, 1961, March 11th. And then also that date, it has numerology of 77, like Judaism. And remember, the American meridian is the 77th meridian. On 9/11, Flight 77 hit the 77-foot-tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian. This is how they rule. Until next time, truth.